Morning, everybody. Welcome to today's conversation. We're talking with Theresa Lear Levine about how to cultivate calm, clarity, and confidence for ambitious women in a busy world. I mean, we could all use some of that. And Theresa is an EFT expert, law of attraction expert. She helps women with trauma, healing their nervous system. So I'm super excited to have her on here live with you lovers. Her and I connected. We're like, I love you. How have you not been in my life? Like, where did you come from? So super excited to have you on, Theresa. I mean, where do we start? Tell us a little bit about how you got into this work. I know we connected on a podcast, but yeah, share a little bit. Let us know.
Sure thing. So yeah, like you said, I'm Theresa. I live in Maryland. We're on opposite coasts, so I know scheduling was like we were trying to figure out what time would work well, because it's like after lunchtime here for me. And I have been kind of a serial entrepreneur for a lot of my life. And I know you and I have talked a lot about, the MLMs and all the different things that we've been part of and things over the years. And I have 4 kids. So as I had, child after child and life got a little bit more busy and full, I started to realize how out of alignment I was beginning to feel with what I was doing in my life and my business. And it was really uncomfortable. There was a lot of things that just weren't really working out the way that I wanted them to. And I hadn't been diagnosed formally with ADHD at that point. I knew I had, past traumas. We all have trauma of some sort, whether it's big T, little t, anything in between. But I was feeling a lot more anxiety. And I didn't recognize that at the time as the high functioning anxiety that I recognize it as now. But I just knew something needed to give, because I was having a lot of just dis-ease with my life and the way that it was feeling, the way that I was showing up as a mom, the way that I was showing up as a wife, the way that I was showing up in my business. And it just wasn't feeling good. And I've always been a personal development junkie. Like, I've always loved growth and transformation, whether it's mental or physical or emotional. I just love seeing what we're capable of doing and changing. But I also kept finding myself in the trap of, man, if I'm so smart, if I'm so book smart, and I've understood and learned so many things, gone to school, taken all these courses, certifications, all these different things, then why can't I get it to work for myself? There was a lot of self-judgment, self-criticism, being really hard on myself that I don't even think I was aware of at the time. And I knew it needed to go. I just didn't know how to make it go. And I didn't know how to get anything to come together and really work. So I was in the nutrition and fitness industry for quite a long time. And that was kind of my bread and butter. That was like the first 6-figure business that I built, and then on and on. But it started to not feel aligned to me also, because I knew that the women I was working with, the thousands of people that had joined me, that they needed something deeper, that they were never going to quite get where they wanted to go with just, a meal plan and a workout, like it was never going to break through all those underlying things that were actually the things that were holding them back with them achieving their goals. And I knew the same was true for me. And so I happened to be at a retreat with a bunch of my other, friends and fellow entrepreneurs, mompreneurs, and so on. And they brought in a woman who was an EFT practitioner, otherwise known as tapping. I don't know how many of you have heard of EFT. I'd love to see if you're in Zoom here in the chat. Tell me if you've ever heard about EFT tapping or if you've ever tried it. But I had heard about it plenty of times. It's nothing new, but I kept kind of pushing it away. When I would see it talked about, it was always Olympic athletes using it for peak performance, or war veterans using it for trauma that felt bigger than anything I'd been through. And here I am, like nursing a baby, sitting on the couch. I just want to like lose 15 pounds, have some more energy, sleep through the night, maybe like have some, connection with my husband and just kind of like feel good again. And I kept pushing the method aside because I was like, it doesn't apply to me. It's just totally different. But when I went to this retreat seminar, and I was also really sick. I'd gotten sick on the way to the retreat. I had horrible congestion, a really bad sore throat, completely lethargic, and which is odd for me because I'm usually like the last person to get sick. I have a great immune system. I take really good care of it. But I had come down with something and I was there anyway. So I was like, I'm gonna make the best of it. And so I'm tapping. She's teaching us how to use the technique, very basic at this presentation, on stress and anxiety. I'm like, okay, cool. I got some of that. So like I'll show up and I'll give it a try. And as I'm working through this, I'm feeling my stress and anxiety get way less, which was such a beautiful relief. But I'm also noticing that my head's clearing and my throat's feeling better and my energy is lifting. And I'm thinking, what kind of like crazy voodoo stuff am I doing to myself here that's like making this big of a change this quickly? And, you know, with just my own words and my own fingers and these different things that I was repeating. And that was the first time that I got to experience what they call borrowed benefits with EFT, which means that when you work on one thing with this method, it lowers your stress levels and cortisol and all of that, you know, negative stuff that's pumping through your system. And it allows the space for the things that feel good, like oxytocin, to have room to grow. And when you do that for one thing, like stress and anxiety, in the case of the first time that I really tried it, it still makes everything else improve and get better. And I was so jazzed about it. I was like, I have found the most, you know, as you would say, the most rad thing out there. And I'm like, I need to know all the things there are to know about this. And I came home like a raving lunatic telling my husband about this experience that I'd had. And he's kind of looking like, okay, cool. You had a great weekend. I was like, yeah. And I'm going to go get certified. I'm like to like the highest level. Like I want to be a master practitioner and do all the things. And he was just kind of like handed over the bank card. It was like, you're obviously very passionate about this. Go do your thing. I totally support you. I still to this day am not completely sure he has any idea what I really do for a living, but it's like not his jam, but he is like my number one cheerleader and supporter, totally gets behind whatever I do. But from that time, I took off with it and I haven't looked back because what I came to know of it, it changed my world.
You know, I got into tapping at the very beginning of my career because I was an acupressure practitioner. So I was very familiar with, you know, the energy lines in the body, and it uses these, right? You tap on certain points. And I mean, it sounds so like, oh, stress, you know, everyone talks about stress, but wow, is it really, it is this like precursor for so many other things.
Right.
So I love that how you talked about borrowing these benefits, right? You create space for something new to come in.
Right. And you know what's even cooler than that is that you borrow benefits with yourself, but also like for me as a practitioner, I can work on people all day long. I normally wake up at 4:30 in the morning and don't go to bed until 10 or 11 at night. And I have just as much energy and I feel even better at the end of the day than at the beginning of the day, because as I work with other people, I'm not drained of my energy, but instead I'm empowered with more of it. And it's such a cool technique there. I get to borrow the benefits and know I'm like unblocking things in my own energy system without even realizing it, as I'm helping other people heal their specific traumas and things. So I love that about the technique.
Well, I'm excited to like dive in here with you because yeah, I mean, who couldn't use less stress and some space for something rad to come in? You know, I'm always talking about this, like what must die or what must go in order for something new to be born, right? You can only fill your cup. You can only, you know, if you have your full cup, if your cup is full, you can't fill it with something new. So how do you want to start this? Do you want to like do a session? How do you want to?
Why don't I tell you a little bit about what EFT is so that you can better understand what we're doing when we do it? I think that's probably a good place to start. Because it's one thing to say it's this technique. We are going to get hands-on with it, which I think is the best way to experience it. But like you said, from the acupressure or acupuncture point of view, it does use those meridians. Our life force flows through these meridians in our body. And when anything, happens to us, whether it's physical injury or emotional type things, we get these energetic blockages. And as we tap on the different meridian endpoints and affirm certain things, we can release those energetic blockages. And so it's basically a combination of ancient Chinese wisdom, stuff that's been around for thousands of years, and modern psychology being brought together. But it's not just some like shot in the dark kind of thing either. It's completely scientifically backed and proven. And one of the most effective techniques for things like trauma and anything that you can feel. And that's the crazy part, because whether it's a past trauma, a bothersome memory, something that happened before you were born, right after you were born, decades ago, whatever, or it's something happening right here and now, like, oh, I have a headache, or this stress I'm having right in the current moment right now, or it's the future and it's anxiety and worry and things like that. It's equally effective on all of those things.
Because it's in the body. You have
Yeah.
to get into the body. This is not something you can't think your way out of trauma. It's in your nervous system.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes it, I mean, it's like the most effective thing to use on anything, because you can literally apply it to anything that's holding you back. And things you don't even know are holding you back start coming into your consciousness as you make the decision to do the work. And that is one of the most fun things, I think, because, you know, I'll have clients come to me for things that seem very surface level, like they're afraid of flying, or they're afraid of water, or something, you know, like a basic fear phobia kind of thing. But as we get into it and they start kind of peeling the layers of that onion and the consciousness starts to come through, they're totally excited to work on the deeper things. And they're not afraid of the work because the work is not traumatizing. It's beautiful, and it releases and it transforms, and you feel so much different from, you know, kind of being in the midst of it all to really rising above it and having that clarity and that confidence and that full picture as you do it. So it's just another beautiful aspect of it. But I forget where I was going with that. That's my ADHD brain, by the way. I'm like started talking about one thing, not really sure where I was going with it, but I'm back. I'll figure it out. So, you know, for me, it was exactly what I needed to mute my inner critic and to be able to stop so much of that self-judgment, to be able to break through programs. You know, I mean, we have all of these downloads and programs that we are running on that
And it doesn't matter what level of success you get to, you know, like you could be at 7 figures and there's still another level. So, you know, just personally, I'll share, I've come into a massive new awakening with my intuition. And I'm like, am I going to start doing like tarot card readings? Thought it would be fun. Like I would never imagine ever doing that. But a friend of mine was chatting with her last night. She's like, yeah, you know how to do this. I was like, oh my gosh, I could really do really well with this. Like, this is so new. So, you know, that's like, you know, ooh, like, you know, just thinking of, because I'll always relate personally to anything people share. There's the love train coming by. It's so rad and synchronistic. Always on
I love
point.
your love train.
Oh my God, the love train. And then the other part of me is like, wow, you know, I really want to do more artwork and launch, you know, some like they're pretty racy nude pictures and, you know, semi-nude pictures as NFTs and things like that. So like a completely new realm of visibility for me.
Yeah.
And so I know we're talking about like layers and fears. And so like people can have fear of failure, but you can also have fear of success, right? All of these past experiences that gets so many women, you know, throughout the years when launching their new businesses. I mean, there's both of these two spectrums. So I feel like, you know, we can do, you can use this technique for anything, right? For any block or fear, whether it's rational, irrational, subconscious.
And it's like you were saying about, you know, just because you know something doesn't mean like that you can do it, basically. And that's where I was for so many years, feeling like, gosh, I'm so smart. Why can't I figure this out? But I wasn't regulating my nervous system along with acquiring the knowledge. And as soon as I incorporated nervous system regulation into what I was doing and trying to break through, it was like all of those like hundreds of books that I had read all of a sudden became actionable. And this switch went on and I was in motion. And it was so cool. And then, you know, add like law of attraction principles and things on top of that. And it just really makes you feel unstoppable. But so many people, and like in this world today, I feel like there's so much toxic positivity and there's so much toxic productivity where And I've lived that too, you know, just really feeling like it's all about the to-do list. Got to get it done. If I get that done, then everything's gonna, you know, fall into place the next day. But then the next day, the list's like as long, if not longer. And you just feel like you're a slave to it. And then all of a sudden you are stuck in what I like to call like in my case, like the mompreneur Groundhog Day, where it's just like the same emotional, weird crap day after day, not getting anywhere, just, you know, lather, rinse, repeat. And that feels awful. So breaking out of that was like a big priority for me. And, you know, I'm still a list person, but I'm not a slave to the list. Like it organizes my ADHD brain, but I've found ways to be productive in a loving way and to actually learn to manage my time in ways that work, because that also with a busy brain can be a little bit difficult because time kind of eludes us, as it is an illusion anyway. But yeah, so with the positivity, we're oftentimes trying to just kind of slap a positive affirmation or something over a deep wound, even if we don't realize it's a deep wound. And then we wonder why it's not like taking root. And the same thing happens with affirmations. You know, affirmations are actually amazing. Love affirmations, but they get used improperly so often because it's the analogy basically of, you know, if you were going to go do your gardening and you have these, you know, beautiful new trees and plants and things that you want to, you know, put in and landscape with, you got to weed it first. Otherwise, the weeds are going to grow faster and uglier than any of the pretty stuff that you're going to put in there. And all of a sudden they're taken over and it's just all for naught. So EFT and the other modalities that I like to combine with it, which tend to be like chakra work and visualizations and law of attraction and even hypnosis, really serve to weed that garden and give you a place where you can actually plant the good stuff. And then it actually feels aligned. Because if you're saying an affirmation that doesn't feel aligned at all with you where you are right now, it's really hard to get there. But that can also be hard for people to understand because there's so many things where we have to kind of get into the vortex in the style of like Abraham Hicks and stuff, if you're familiar with that kind of thing. You have to feel what it is to be where you want to be before you get there.
And it's impossible if your nervous system is triggered and you're on high alert and you're not feeling safe in your body.
Right.
And I get this. I mean, I dove into shadow work, healing my inner child, nervous system regulation. And this were like not on my radar at all. And when I went through this divorce, I was like, wow, this is a whole new body of work. I'm so grateful for it. And you know, what you shared about your to-do list doesn't run your life. You know, some of the biggest things I noticed is, you know, my life is run by, well, what do I feel like doing now? You know, what it's not the to-do list. It's not the have to, gotta, the responsibilities. Yes, there's things to be done, but the level of peace. And I also think soul, you know, trading, you know, the successes, whatever it is, but it's not worth trading your soul for. This level of presence, peace, fulfillment. Wow. I mean, so worth the journey. And you're right. It really is the missing link. So I'm super stoked that we're
so many people are just like, they're so willing to invest in things that have a ROI financially, but you know, got to think about the ROI emotionally and physically and from a spiritual standpoint of things. And they all come out in the financial end of things also. But
learning how to regulate your nervous system and soothe and calm yourself back into a space of safety is what gives you that space for the downloads, the intuition to land, the knowing. I always look at the mind as like, you know, it can be like a puddle, right? If you take a stick and you like stir up a puddle, you can't see through the water. But when the mind is calm, when your nervous system is calm, you can see every little rock and every little thing in there. You can see right through it. It's kind of like putting yourself in this state.
It's the truth. It really is. But I think so many people are missing the value in that. And in that, they miss such an opportunity to really be more of who they want to be in the world. And that's kind of what the whole journey has been about for me. That's the name of my business and my podcast, Becoming More Me. It's always a never ending journey. But I think also, and I can include myself in this too, like anything else that I teach or preach about, I've been through it. We hate the fact that we're human and that we're never there. Like we're never like actually finished or whatever else, like that it's always a growth process. But I think there's so much to embrace there. And from the position of law of attraction, finding more of that to focus on than the stuff that we find pulling us down, the fact that like, oh gosh, well, I still do need help with this, or I still haven't gotten through this, or am I ever really going to succeed in this way? To focus on all the ways that we have transformed and we have changed and we are evolving and stuff is so much more beneficial in the long run, for sure.
Just sharing this on a reel about, you can sit there and beat yourself up for not being where you expected yourself to be. You can compare yourself to the place where you expected, didn't, whatever, or you could compare yourself to where was I 2 years ago? How much has my life changed in the last 3 months? That's a gratitude check. That's a good comparison,
I always say, flip it to appreciation. Because I get there too, we all do. I mean, I can be saying it one day and then the next day be feeling exactly what I was coaching somebody out of. But the difference is the consciousness around it allows me to get out of it in a different, faster, more efficient way than somebody who doesn't have that consciousness from doing the work. And there's value there too. But I think we can all kind of not be our best friends sometimes, and that's just the way life is. But yeah, so I really did get hooked on this method and the way that, and when I started working with other people and realizing, oh wow, it doesn't just do amazing things for me, it does it for everybody. And this is so much fun, and what a great community, and how fun it is to help people to work on things that they come to me saying, well, I've been in therapy for this for a decade and, still sitting kind of where I was when I started. So I don't know, but then in a few sessions, if that, we've broken through things that they were stuck on for that decade. And that's just such a gift, because we can really get caught up in the trap of thinking that because it took us a while to get to a place that's not comfortable, that it's going to take us a while to get out. And the truth is, healing can happen in an instant. And
your life can change in an instant. Absolutely.
So, and that's just beautiful. And I'm not saying that it all happens that quickly, but when you open yourself up to that possibility, and then you also, use some things that are scientifically proven to help, it really does exponentially speed up the healing process, for sure. And, I know with your group here, there's a lot of very ambitious women and people that want to grow, and that kind of thing is just really, really appealing.
Can we dive in? I'm ready. I want to try some EFT.
To try it? Okay.
Yeah.
So the first thing I want to just show you guys just a quick energy trick that you can use anytime, because we'll do some tapping, but I can't teach you everything there is to know about tapping in a quick, workshop. So this is something that I like to do when I'm feeling a little bit off. We can get into we get this, our energy gets dysregulated for all different reasons pretty much every day, and we can get out of the patterns that we need to be in. There's this natural crossover pattern that happens in all of our organs down to our DNA. Like every living part of us has this crossover energy pattern, and when we get dysregulated in one way or another, we get to be homeolateral, where our energy is going more up and down instead of crossing over and making us feel lively. So one of my favorite things to do for that, and there's ways, if you do muscle testing and stuff, you can actually test and see if you're homeolateral or if you're in proper crossover, but you can't hurt anything by doing this exercise, and you're only going to feel better. So I don't see the need to take you through the testing or anything. It's fun to do when I'm in person with people, because it's crazy how much weaker or stronger they are when their energy gets in the right patterns. But you just literally, if it's just you, and there's a way you can do this, like if you have, a friend, a spouse, a loved one around that doesn't mind putting some hands on you, then you can do it with somebody, and that's fun too. But if it's just you, you just reach over your own shoulder and you dig your fingers in behind the shoulder, and then you pull your hand while pressing in across your chest, like in between the breasts and down to the opposite hip. And then you do the same thing on the other side, and just want to make sure you have that pressure. And you're going to just you can do it faster once you kind of get the pattern down. And it's just called a crossover. But by doing this like 15 or 20 times, you'll notice your energy lifts. You'll notice that if you were kind of feeling meh before, you're going to feel uplifted. If you have a friend to do it with, plus it feels good. Like everybody wants to
feel good.
like, just stay up there for a little while longer.
Shoulders. I've been doing push-ups here.
If you have somebody to do it with, you can actually do it on your back. So then you would have them reach over your shoulder. I'm so flexible, I can almost do it, but not quite. Their fingers would come over the tops of your shoulders, and then they would come diagonally down across your back, creating that X from behind, coming over your shoulder and down, over your shoulder and down to the opposite hip. You can, if you have a party, you can have a whole train of people just giving each other a crossover. But it's a great way to uplift your energy. As you can see, I've got a little more giddy and energetic just doing it myself here. And hopefully you guys, if you've noticed anything, feel free to, drop it in the comments or whatever. That's one of my favorite, just like quick tricks. Oftentimes I'll do that before I am getting ready to like do a presentation like this, a podcast interview, come into my community, do a workshop presentation, whatever it is, because it's so uplifting, and energy is everything. We overlook that fact so easily. And, oh yeah, energy is everything, but it really
is. It all starts inside. Even Shamika here said, I felt an instant energy lift. Thank you.
Yes, awesome. Well, you're most welcome. I hope you'll be able to use that to give yourself an instant energy lift anytime you need one. And I love to remind myself of the power of energy with like a pendulum trick, or I'll take my necklace off and use it. But you guys, if you have even like a string and something you can tie on a string, or a necklace that you're wearing, or a pendulum, you can just like put your elbow down somewhere and you can hold it, and you can just imagine it going, clockwise in a circle. And as I talk here for a minute, holding myself, completely still, it'll bobble a little bit, and then my mind will get it going in a circle. And then if I want to, I don't know if you guys can see that, it's going clockwise in a circle for me right now. And then as I continue talking, I'm just going to tell it to go the other way. It's going to take a little while because it's going to have to stop. But just, holding my hand completely still, I'm not moving it. I'm not, I'm hoping you guys will try this too, so that you can actually see, because it's one of those things where you have to do it to believe it. But
it's so wild. I was just doing this last night with a friend of mine, Nina, and she actually called while we're on this interview. It's just like,
but you can see, like, just the power of my mind, just that influenced the direction that was going into. So, literally every cell in our body is paying attention to our inner dialogue.
To the words, and the words have vibrations, since we're water. It absolutely, and it also, I've done a lot of work in reprogramming the subconscious mind, what it takes to build a belief, and we're all, meaning making machines. We're constantly programming ourselves, sometimes consciously, unconsciously. So the power, yes, the power of our mind, the power of our thoughts, the power of our intention.
Sometimes I just do that pendulum thing. Like if I'm having a moment of feeling powerless or thinking I'm not, strong enough to do something or whatever, I'll be like, watch what I can do. And I'll just, sit down with myself and make things move. You can literally, you can sit there and just tell it what you want to do with your mind, and, tell it to go clockwise, tell it to go counterclockwise, tell it to go left to right, this way, tell it to go front and back. It will do whatever it is you tell it to do with your mind. It's amazing. It never gets old.
A lot of people use the pendulum for intuitive work, to ask questions and find answers.
Yep, you could assign an answer to it and have it, answer you that yes or no. It's very much like muscle testing and kinesiology as far as that's concerned. I like to do that when I'm taking nutritional supplements and things like that. I normally put out a week's worth at a time into little containers, just so that it's really easy, because I take a bunch of different things. But when I'm doing my supplements for the week, I'll muscle test myself just with the fingers together kind of thing. And when it's a no, your fingers will break apart really easily. If it's a yes, they'll stay very strong. But just asking your body, like, okay, do I need iron this week? And I'll ask my body to answer that question for me. Do I need vitamin D? Do I need folate? What do I need this week? And just for each, thing that I have in my bin that I sometimes take or sometimes don't, I just go through it, ask my body, and get an answer. And it's amazing what a difference that has made. Because for a while I would just take, everything that I bought for myself and thought would be good for me. And some days it just did not make me feel amazing. And when I started doing that, it's like every week just feels right on.
I love the empowerment tips. People in the chat, totally work. This is amazing. Yeah.
That's so cool. You guys are just like, videotape yourself doing it, tag me on it. I love seeing it. But yeah, so there's just so many ways that we can uplift our energy. So if we're going to do some EFT tapping, I like to make it relevant to you guys. And EFT likes it when we're specific. So is there a particular, and we're looking for something on the negative side, pretty much like a challenge, a stress, whatever. Like if anybody has anything in the chat that if you want to work on anxiety or stress or big decision that you're making or whatever, is there anything going on, Vanessa?
Yeah. Drop something in the chat, you guys, here that for those of you guys who are joining live, or if you're live in the Facebook group.
Yeah. I can help you guys with anything, but I'd like it to be relevant. And I also have awesome resources if you guys geek out on this stuff that I'll be happy to give you at the end of this.
Let's give people just a minute here to catch what we just said and drop a comment, because I think that would be really awesome if we could have some, something that's relevant, something that's live.
If not, we could simply tap on kind of like learning something new like you are today and kind of integrating it and being open to the possibility of it. Which
open to the possibility of it being bigger than I even can imagine, I think.
Yeah, really absolutely. Cool. So we could do something like that if you guys don't have anything particular that's bothering you, or we can work on something else.
Stress. I'm not so financial block, somebody says.
Yeah.
That's good. Anything else with you guys here in the chat? What would you love to work on today? What would you love to have just blasted away?
I'm gonna say this about the financial blocks to clarity. Okay. I think we could handle some clarity blocks through what I was kind of just mentioning, relationship blocks. Okay. I guess the problem with asking and getting a quick answer is that I don't have the background on it. Yeah, so I'd need more specifics of understanding like what the financial blocks are and things like that. Negative energies, doctor recommended surgery, and I'm not keen on doing it. So I need clarity. Yeah. Just the fact that you're saying that, Pauline, that you're not keen on doing it, there's an opportunity there for you to just look inside of yourself and try to understand, is it that your, intuition is telling you that you don't need it? Or is it that you have a fear about it that's maybe rational, maybe irrational, who knows? There's opportunities there to, like you said, get some clarity and to just see what's really going on in there and if it's necessary or not. Our bodies know so much. So whatever happens with your surgery or non-surgery, I hope everything goes well and that you are well. So I would say okay. And Pam said, when you have many gifts, how do you channel all the information into creating a service to help others? That's a great question, Pam. Are you also an ADHD brain like I am? I
think working in the coaching industry here for over a decade, this is really a massive, very common kind of question, how do I, and it kind of stems also from what I've seen, it stems from like a lot of fear of rejection, fear of being judged. If I put my work out there in the world, I can do so many things. Which one is the right one? And it's like this inability to like just choose a direction. But that's because it's like, well, if I do choose something and I put it out there, then I could get rejected, judged, shamed, criticized. Absolutely. All the stuff comes out, right?
Yeah. And also like we can't throw everything into like one program or one session or one whatever. So we do need to focus in a way, but that doesn't mean that we can't allow all of our different modalities to breathe into each other. I can do an EFT program and infuse it with law of attraction. I can fuse it with visualization and affirmation and other different things that are really at the heart of what's transformed me so much, but it's still EFT. And I think there's a lot of and chakra work and things like that, but I put them all into the EFT, if that makes sense. And that's not saying that that's what's best for you, but that's kind of what's worked for me, because I like it sounds like maybe you are, and one of those people that like, I want to give everybody everything and make sure they don't miss anything because I know all this was so valuable to me. But sometimes we just have to slow down in order to get the traction and get it all out there. Otherwise, we get nothing out there.
Yeah.
At all.
This clarity piece is a big one. This is,
Yeah.
So maybe some EFT around clarity, whatever the clarity is
With
needed.
that. So yeah, let's work on clarity. And if since you guys are at home doing this with me, you can switch up the wording a little bit. If you know something that's more specific and true to you, you can make it more your own. I'm going to ask for Vanessa to just mirror me in this. It helps me with my timing, but it's going to be kind of like follow the leader sort of a thing. So we're looking for, let me just take some notes. This is kind of how I normally do things with my clients too. So we know now that we're going to work on clarity, and it sounds like, let's see, Pauline, clarity. Yes, for everything. How does it feel to you guys when you're not clear? What are the negative emotions, the feelings, colors, textures, whatever it is that comes up for you when you feel not clear? Or do you feel foggy? Do you feel anxious? Okay. So anxiety, not being clear. Anxiety, lots of anxiety there. Okay.
Scattered, doubtful.
Yeah.
Unsure.
All right.
And avoid, like, well, now what? Stuck, easily annoyed, people are saying.
Yeah.
Sleeplessness.
Stuck. Oh, the stuckness. That is essentially inertia, energy that has stopped moving, and we are stuck. Frustrated. Okay, great. And what would it feel like for you to have clarity? How would you describe those feelings? Maybe it's from another time that you've been clear. And this question is a lot like the whole thing that I was talking about of you need to actually be in the feeling in order to get the feeling.
I think the feeling is like,
had you ever been to Mount Shasta before you lived there, Vanessa?
No. Well, I came here for a yoga retreat and that was it. I was like, the mountain enchanted me and I bought the first house I sold on that trip.
Okay.
But I had never been here before.
Yeah. But I feel like a lot of times, like, people might want to like be in a place, but they haven't been there before. And kind of like you, but like you knew it aligned with the vibe you were looking for.
I was looking for it. I went to Ashland, I went to Bend, I went to all these places, in Oregon, and looked around California, and I was like, no. But yes, I'm from Canada. So I was like, I want trees, I want nature, I want lakes, I want water, I want like magic. So I had an experience of what that felt like before, being from Canada, but I was looking for it somewhere in California.
Yeah. Just saying, most of us already have inside of us some actual knowing of what we're going for. It's not, people get hung up on like fake it till you make it, which is kind of the same thing as like put yourself in the vortex as if it's already happened. But there's really not any imposterism around feeling what we already deeply know. And, we get in our way about that. All right, I'm still taking notes on what's coming through. Aha moments, joyful, happy, free, looking for magic.
Exhilarated, confident. Yeah, the confidence is a big one. Like unstoppable is the feeling that I get.
Yeah.
The clarity is just like, a direct alignment.
Yeah, aligned.
Moving like,
Okay.
Energy. Motivated.
Let's do this thing. So when you guys think about, I want each of you to think about the thing that you're not clear about. If you haven't shared it already, share the specific thing you don't feel clear about in the chat. Okay, that's what you are going to be focused on as we do this round. Even though my words are going to be a little bit more generic so that they serve everyone, you're going to be focused. Like if you're looking for clarity around your finances, if you're looking for clarity around a surgery, whatever that is, I want you focused on that in the back of your mind the entire time that we're doing this. Okay. And once you know what that thing is, then I also want you to put in the chat, and if you want to wait, you can put both at the same time. I want you to put a number between 0 and 10. It's called the subjective units of distress scale. Same thing your doctor uses. You go in with a backache. They say, how bad does your back hurt? Scale of 0 to 10. 0 is like your back's great. 10's like your back's awful. So how much lack of clarity do you have on a scale of 0 to 10? Really unclear would be 10. Crystal clear and, empowered and having all those aha moments is a 0. And just drop that in the chat so that I can see where everybody is to start, because we're also going to revisit this at the end and see where you are after we spend, 5 or 10 minutes tapping together.
I love that you drink out of a jar. I drink out of jars all the time. I take them on trips with me because they're having like
here. I got my smoothies in a jar here. Yep, all jarred up today. But and I mentioned before we were live everywhere, but depending on where you have joined us from, drink up, get some water in your body if you haven't already. Energy is conducted much better through water. We can get things unstuck a lot faster for you if you're hydrated. And then I'll also say, once we do the work, no matter what your result is, you will have moved a lot of energy, and you should hydrate for the rest of the day also. And in general, like, you should hydrate anyway. Like, shouldn't really be like a hot tip here, but it does really help with the EFT. All right, so we have all of our numbers here. We got 7, 4, 8, 4. Not exactly sure what everybody's working on exactly, but you guys know what you're working on if you're doing it. So that's all we really need. We're gonna start on the side of the hand. This is called the karate chop point. I just tap it with the fingers on my other hand. Doesn't matter if you use the left or the right. Some people even like to just do this. It's all good. It all works. After we're done with that sequence, we're going to be doing the top of the head. We're going to be doing the eyebrow point. You have 2 eyebrows. You're more than welcome to do both hands. I'm just going to use one. And side of the eye, same thing. You can do left, right, or both. Same thing with the under the eye point. And this is really just following that bone, that orbital bone from your skull underneath around your eye. You're not like tapping your eyeball or in that, fleshy area. It's right on the edge of the bone. Under the nose, under the mouth. And we're getting at least 5 to 7 taps, probably more in each space as we go through. Our collarbone, and then under the arm. And for us women, it's essentially where the bra strap goes around the body, not like your armpit, but down a little bit further towards the side of the body. And we're going to go through that sequence a few times, then we're going to reassess things. So we'll start on that side of the hand area. And again, just take a nice deep breath to start. A nice inhale. Exhale. And the first thing I want you to do is just visualize and just think about your body for a second. And picture yourself just sitting in your chair. You sit and you know you're sitting. Throw some appreciation towards your body, all that it does for you unconsciously, day in and day out, 24 hours a day, without you even thinking about it. And all the ways that it supports you so that you can do all the other amazing things that you do in this world. And take another deep breath. And now I'm going to have Vanessa repeat after me throughout this sequence. Even though I'm feeling really stuck.
Even though I'm feeling really stuck.
Really unclear.
Really unclear.
Scattered.
Scattered.
I accept these feelings and I love myself anyway.
I accept these feelings and I love myself anyways.
Even though I'm having a lot of doubts.
Even though I'm having a lot of doubts.
Not really trusting my intuition.
Not really trusting my intuition.
I love, accept, and forgive myself.
I love, accept, and forgive myself.
Even though there's a lot of anxiousness.
Even though there's a lot of anxiousness.
And I feel a void.
And I feel a void.
I honor this feeling.
I honor this feeling.
And accept myself anyway.
And accept myself anyway.
Top of the head. All this lack of clarity.
All this lack of clarity.
I feel like I don't know what to do.
Like I don't know what to do.
I don't know what decision to make.
Don't know what decision to make.
I don't know what to do next.
Don't know what to do next.
I don't know if I'm making the right decision.
Don't know if I'm making the right decision.
I'm just scattered and all over the place with this.
Scattered and all over the place with this.
Feeling really stuck.
Feeling really stuck.
And it makes me feel tense in my body.
It makes me feel tense in my body.
For those of you who are tapping that we can't hear, feel free to say where. We'll try that on the next point. I feel it in my
Stomach.
Yeah. I tend to feel it in my chest. Speak to it. Right? And man, I get so frustrated.
Man, I get so frustrated.
This is not the way I want to feel.
This is not the way I want to feel.
I just want all the answers already.
I just want all the answers already yesterday, last week, last year.
I'm so impatient about this.
So impatient about this.
I don't want to slow down.
I don't want to slow down. What's taking so long?
What's taking so long?
Taking so long.
I got things to do.
Things to do.
I don't want to slow down and listen for the answers.
I don't want to slow down and listen for the answers.
But I need the answers.
But I need the answers.
Where are my answers?
Where are the answers? Where are my answers?
Really just not feeling clear about it right now.
Really just not feeling clear about it right now.
Open to the possibility.
Open to the possibility.
That maybe I can release this lack of clarity.
Maybe I can release this lack of clarity.
Allowing myself to feel safe enough in my body.
Allowing myself to feel safe enough in my body.
To release these blocks to my clarity.
To release these blocks to my clarity.
Down to a cellular level.
Down to a cellular level.
And allow some of the answers to come to me.
And allow some of the answers to come to me and trust them when they land.
Absolutely. I can be more empowered.
I can be more empowered.
More aligned.
More aligned.
And more self-trusting.
More self-trusting, more knowing.
And just thinking about it makes me feel exhilarated.
And just thinking about it makes me feel exhilarated.
As if it's already done.
As if it's already done.
And maybe by putting this out to the universe,
And maybe by putting this out to the universe,
it is already done.
it is already done.
And maybe I don't need to worry about it so much.
Maybe I don't even need to worry about it so much.
Maybe I'm more unstoppable than I'm giving myself credit for.
Maybe I'm more unstoppable than I'm giving myself credit for.
Side of the thumb. With love. Repeat after me. With love.
Oh, with love. Okay. With love.
Compassion.
Compassion.
Tolerance.
Tolerance.
Skip to the pinky. And gratitude.
Gratitude.
We're going to go to the back of the hand between the ring finger and the pinky. And forgiveness.
And forgiveness.
I now forgive. I now forgive. I now forgive.
Forgive and I forgive. That's the heart
And I
channel.
call my power back into my body.
And I call my power back into my body.
I am whole, complete, and unstoppable.
I am whole, complete, and unstoppable.
All right, now everybody, I want you to keep tapping the back of your hand. You're gonna look straight ahead. And then I want you to look diagonally and hard down to the right, keeping your head straight. Back to center with me. Diagonally down to the left. And back up to center. Now I want you to roll your eyes. Imagine a clock on the wall in front of you. Look up to the 12, go clockwise in a circle. Hit all the numbers as you go around. You don't need to do it too fast. Being thorough is more important here. Now I want you to go backwards, counterclockwise. Start again at the 12, go backwards through all the numbers and back up to 12. Now we're going to hum. Everybody knows Happy Birthday. Just give me a few seconds of it. Count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And hum again after you count to 5. And that's all that you need to do. We're just integrating things on the left and the right side of the brain there with the music and the counting. And now I want you to just take a nice deep breath, stretch, yawn, whatever you feel like doing, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Feel yourself in your body. Reflect on that thing you were focusing on the whole time that was feeling pretty negative and heavy and out of alignment for you. And weigh in for me in the chat on, what you worked on and where your number went. So, we had, Pam started at a 7, Donna started at a 4, Pauline started at an 8, Chimka started at a 4, or is that Chamika? I'm sorry if I just butchered your name. And I'd love to hear about your current numbers and what kind of things happened for you. I also absolutely love hearing about aha moments or things that shifted or that you felt during the tapping. So I
got to share something,
So Donna, did your number actually go up? Like it got worse? So I see you were a 4 before and now you're a 7. Just to clarify, like feeling better would be going towards a 0. Cool. All right. From a 7. Okay. It's a 2 now. Awesome. Cool. Just wanted to make sure we were going the right way on the scale. And if you were going up, then that would be an indication of kind of experiencing a layer that got peeled off and was really uncomfortable. So I wanted to deal with that if you were, but I pretty much never see people go up. People almost always go down. So what did you have? What did you experience, Vanessa?
Well, I went from like an 8 to a 1.
Sweet.
And what I love about this is it's really bringing the vibration of love, acceptance, and peace to, right? So we're working in vibrations is really what it is. You're bringing the vibration of love. And it just reminded me of that. I haven't done tapping in a while, but like, even though I have this, I choose to love, accept, and forgive myself anyways. So we're bringing, your vibration up to this, real love is the only thing that's real. It's really the only thing that's real. I got it tattooed on my arm here, on one of my arms. So I love that. And then what I felt at the end, and this is on my left-hand side in my back where my heart is, some really beautiful opening and really nice energy, really nice warm energy. Good. So rad.
Awesome. So it's always a little easier when I'm working with somebody one-on-one and we can really get into the specifics. Yes. But hopefully this offered some kind of a shift. Like I said before, the stress going down, like no matter whether this aligned with what you were feeling or not, we just lowered your cortisol. EFT tapping can lower your cortisol up to 43% in 10 minutes. Okay. For anybody that's at all well-versed in things like weight loss or anything else, those cortisol levels make a huge difference in things like that and everything else. It's our stress hormones. It's the stuff that's activated by our fight or flight. And we are in a very activated fight or flight pattern, most of us these days. It's where we used to get activated because we were running for our lives and big wild animals and we were cave people. Now, like we're activated by like a coworker sitting next to us in a cubicle or our mom calling us on the phone or, all these other things that might happen where it triggers something in us. And all of a sudden we're in that cortisol dump and the anxiety is coming out and it's as if we're fighting for our lives, but it's just everyday stuff.
Yeah, that's why I do not watch the media. I don't watch television. Just watch them. There's a lot of people feeling calmer about the situation, down to a 3.
Yeah, let's see what some of this stuff is. Body chills on the left side of my body when tapping on the back of my hand. Still at a 7, but I feel better. So that better might be a shift that is just something that's new to you in the way that you're feeling it. And also where you are now might not be where you are in 5 minutes or an hour. Sometimes people continue to go down that scale. Otherwise, I say, hey, if you're still at whatever number you're at, what makes that up? What does that number mean to you? Like, what is that to? What's left? Is it just that you haven't made the decision yet? Is it something different than that? Because that, if we were working together, would be the next place we would go, the next thing we would visit to try to peel back that layer of what's left to get you as close as we can, if not to a zero. Because when you get to the root problem, when you clear it down to a zero with EFT, it ain't coming back. Okay. You can go to talk therapy and talk things out and feel okay in the moment, but usually those triggers are still going to trigger you when they come up, and you're going to find yourself having similar conversations and feeling like you're in kind of that version of Groundhog Day that I talked about before with whatever it is that you're dealing with. But when you work it out of your nervous system and your brain, because you go right to the amygdala, you pass all the frontal lobe stuff with this. We go right to the amygdala, the fight or flight, we calm the emotions and the physical at the same time, and we get a lasting result. If you don't get a lasting result, it's because you haven't done the deeper work to get to it. So it's pretty cool in that you can really check your work very easily with things, if you're still triggered, if you're still fearful, if you're still unclear, there's still more layers there that we need to get through, but that also doesn't mean that it needs to take forever. So, all right, what else did we have here in the comments? Feeling so much calmer about the situation. Awesome, Pauline. I'm so glad to hear it. Down to a 3. That's great. Oh, that's awesome. I'm on a weight loss journey. Yeah, cortisol is usually an issue for people that are having issues with weight. And, stress makes it so hard to lose weight. Tapping is an insanely effective way to go about weight loss. It's like Vanessa was saying, it very much incorporates love and self-love. And those are two things that are usually missing from people's nutrition and fitness journeys. They're usually still kind of allowing the inner critic to run the show and being really hard on themselves, and a lot of times punishing their bodies and then not getting the results they want and doing more of the same thing. And when we can actually lower the stress and we can allow more of that love in, and to truly, feel appreciation for our body and what it's doing for us, then it allows it to relax and actually do its job and function the way that it's supposed to, and give you a better result that you actually want. So it's more of that, too, focusing on all the good things that your body's doing for you and all the ways that things are working out, instead of, oh, the scale went up a pound, or I don't think this is ever going to work, or whatever else. But being able to control those hormones while you do it is huge. Donna's feeling more centered. Energy shifted higher and I felt a frequency go through my body. That's so cool. I love that. Love.
One of the things that was new for me during this round that I've never done before is like on the fingers, the thumb, these fingers. So you're really like activating all the channels here on the fingers.
Yep.
And then the left and right hemisphere of your brain with the eyes. That was really neat.
So there's usually some element of what we call psychological reversal. Your energy is actually flowing in the wrong direction. It's kind of the same kind of thing where I talked about the homeolateral and the crossover patterns with the body. But with our energy, when we are in psychological reversal and our energy is essentially flowing backward, that's where procrastination and self-sabotage show up. That's when it's like, we totally know that, if we want to lose weight, we're not supposed to eat the ice cream, but we keep eating the ice cream, that kind of thing, because the energy is not flowing in the right direction. And that's just a really easy example, but things that you're doing for your career success or your relationship success or whatever else, where, maybe you keep getting snappy and irritable with, a lover or a spouse or whatever, when you know that you really want, deep love and connection, but you keep doing the opposite of that. Usually you're in a state of psychological reversal. So you have to get the left and the right side of the brain speaking the same language and on the same page in order to actually show up differently in those situations and get a different outcome than you've been getting, because your nervous system is very comfortable with what you've been doing. It's very comfortable with the way you've been showing up. Even if the way that you've been showing up means that, you have a zero balance in your bank account, or you have marital issues, or you're not succeeding the way that you want to, it's familiar. So nervous system, body is all about like, we know this already. Yeah, it sucks, but like, we're cool here because we know how to survive here. We've done it before. We've done it for
uncomfortable. Yep.
Exactly. But like that new territory that you think you want to go to, like where you guys actually get along, or you make $1 million or whatever else, like that's some unfamiliar territory. So we are going to do everything we can to make sure that you stay right here where we know what's going on. And that's where you have to overcome that. And EFT, whew, man, blow through the blocks and get out of your own way, because it'll
Ego
help you.
protecting you with fear. Absolutely. That's, we have the decisions or these vows,
Yeah.
and it's all to protect us from failure, from, in some way, death, rejection, whatever that is.
Yeah. Even if we don't know that we have fear of success, our nervous system does.
Mhm. Call this the comfortable uncomfortable, right? It's where people are like, oh, the fear of the unknown of doing something different is a real thing. I think we've all been launched into that here during this, this pandemic.
These tools gave me the confidence and the power to be able to call my power into the present moment. Because when we're worried about those things, or the past patterns that are now our beliefs and everything else, we're not really here. And I can definitely say I didn't feel very present before I started doing this much of the time. And right here, right now, like me with all of you talking, chatting, tapping, this is the only place I have any power. I can't do anything about anything else right now. So I might as well be fully here with Vanessa and all of you, giving you the best I have to give, because there's nothing else I can actually do other than dilute myself by putting myself, putting those cords out to the past, putting those cords out to the future, or, just not being here. And so learning to bring yourself back into the present moment is just that alone is worth learning this technique. But yeah, it's so big. Like you can't realize until you start peeling those layers back and giving yourself the power to put yourself in a place where you can power through those things that you normally held yourself back from, where you can actually feel the uncomfortability coming on and be able to say, yeah, not today. We're actually still going to do that thing. And I'm going to make myself comfortable enough to be uncomfortable doing it, even though every time up until now, I've just done what I was used to, or done what my body automatically was programmed to do that I didn't even consciously think about doing, as I did it day after day after day.
I love this. Thank you for taking us through this process and for sharing all of your wisdom. You've totally inspired me to get back into EFT now. So I love it. How can people find you in your work, Theresa?
Yeah, well, I mean, for those of you who are here or tried this, or watch a replay or whatever, I invite you to join me. I'm doing a workshop in September. It's still a little ways away, but you can pre-register for it now. It's free, and it's time. Like you can have an hour with me every day for 5 days, and there'll be bonus sessions too on top of that. Like it's going to be high value stuff that we do together that you learn. That's going to be starting September 6th. You can pre-register by going to, I'll put it in the conversation too, TheresaLearLevine.org. Okay, that's similar to my website. My website's TheresaLearLevine.com. But if you go to the .org website, you will get the registration page, and you can sign up for that if you want to be there with me. And what I'll do is I'll send you an email to say that you've pre-registered. I'll give you some cool resources to check out in the meantime, but you won't be able to get the add to calendar links and stuff until a couple of weeks before we start. But I definitely invite you to join me there. And when you do that too, you'll find out how to join my free community on Facebook and all that kind of stuff. And you'll get everything that you need to follow me on Instagram. I'm the same there, Theresa Lear Levine. If you just look up Theresa Lear Levine, you'll find me in all the places. But I have another gift I'd also love to give you, and that's at theresasfreegift.com. That's going to give you a quiz to find out where your emotional freedom is lacking. And I'll put that one in there too, theresasfreegift.com. And there's some videos in there that you can follow along and tap with me, and some other things that you can get your hands on so that you can really kind of continue this work and start peeling back some more layers and seeing what comes up for you.
I love it. Thank you. Definitely check out Theresa's work. I have so enjoyed today. Thank you for being here, Rockstar.
Thanks for inviting me into your community and sharing all your wonderful people with me.
And thank you guys for tuning in here live on Zoom and here in the Facebook group. My name is Vanessa Simpkins. Thanks for tuning into this radical intimacy series. I've so enjoyed doing these podcasts and bringing you guys rad guests, rad gifts, rad conversations to help you, take your power back now and really transform into that next evolution of you that's birthing forward. So I love you guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Theresa. And we'll see you guys at the next perfect time.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.